Success. All right. So some norms and logistics for today's session. First is feel free to keep your camera on or off. We know you're busy folks and folks are going to be popping in and out of your offices and stuff. So feel free to keep your cameras on and off, but please stay muted during the presentation. We have time for Q&A at the end. So you'll be able to jump on and chat with us after we kind of wrap up. Definitely feel free to use the chat, though, to ask any questions that you have. No such thing as a silly question as we're kind of going through things. We know folks might be new to using the event registration feature, so feel free to ask any questions that come up. And then we'll send the recording and slide deck to everyone who registered. So no worries if you missed something. Don't feel like you have to take too many notes. I'll send you a copy of everything right after we wrap up today. And our agenda for today's meeting, we'll start with some intros. We'll talk through the structures of a family weekend form, so some options of how you can structure your form based on how you structure your family weekend ticketing. I'll do a training and walkthrough on events with registration as well, so you can actually see it kind of end to end. Rebecca will jump in as a former user and talk through some tips that she has from her experience using the event registration forms. I'll add a few notes on e-commerce, and then we have some questions at the end. So that is the agenda for today. And a little bit about me. My name is Jack Ellis. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the team lead for implementation here at Campus ESP. I've been on the team. I just passed my 4-year anniversary since being an intern at Campus ESP, so super exciting. I've worked with 50 customers and implemented about 70 modules here at Campus ESP, so lots of familiar faces on the call. I'm kind of a dinosaur in Campus ESP land. I have my bachelor's from Temple University in communication studies, and I have some experience in residence life, orientation, parent and family programs, and then I'm a cat dad to 2 former strays named Rain and Honey. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll pass it over to Rebecca.
Thanks, Jack. I was trying to think if you were a dinosaur, what I would be, but I'm not sure. So y'all let me know in the chat. But I'm Rebecca McCrory. I use she, her pronouns. I'm one of the newer customer success managers here at Campus ESP, but I have been in higher education for the past 10 years, and I am a former customer, as Jack mentioned. So most recently at George Mason University, working in orientation and family programs. A fun fact about me is I currently live in State College, Pennsylvania. So I know Cindy's on the call, so also known as Happy Valley. We're here together. And then I live here with my partner and my son and my dog. So that's a little bit about me. Glad y'all are here.
Awesome. And then a little bit about Campus ESP. I'll speed through this because I don't think there is anyone who is not a customer on the call. But here, this is our kind of overview of different modules. So our Campus ESP for student enrollment module covers that inquiry through that admitted stage. The admit through graduate stage is covered by Campus ESP for family communication, which everyone on here uses as their main module. So that's really wonderful. That will be where we really focus our time today and where event management really fits in very nicely. We have Campus ESP for FERPA management, which some folks might use as well, and then Campus ESP for parent giving. So that's our full kind of set of solutions. We'll really be focusing on the event management module for today. Again, talk through events with registration and that e-commerce piece. All right, so let's jump into structures of a family weekend event. So there are really 2 main ways that you can structure a family weekend event here in Campus ESP. And so the first is to use a mix of required ticketing and optional add-ons. I'll show you more of what this means in just a minute. But essentially, that is your opportunity to say, here's my base fee for like a general admission or a parent's tailgate, whatever the base event is for your family weekend. And then have additional add-ons like t-shirts and optional events that can be listed there on the form as well. So that's one way to do it. But another way that folks do it sometimes, if there is no base fee included in your family weekend, is to just have completely a la carte ticketing options and not have any required tickets, and all of them have the optional ticket piece. So it's not required that they select any specific combination of items. They can select any that they would like. So those are the 2 main ways. Again, I'll show you the details of how you set them up in a minute, and I'll show you examples of them. But those are the 2 structures to know. So that first one here, required tickets, you see a little GIF on the right-hand side that has what happens when I try to purchase events without that general admission price. So you can watch that as I'm chatting through. But again, this is a great use case for when you have a base fee or a general admission item that folks have to purchase in order to attend your family weekend. And so they will need to purchase at least one of those required tickets. They can purchase multiple if they would like to, but they have to purchase at least one in order to register for the event at all. If they only purchase those optional items, then they will be directed back to add one of those required items to their cart before they continue to the payment screen. So that's how it will work. You see that example over there. So if you generally structure it like you need that base ticket item in order to attend Family Weekend at all, or to get a certain swag bag at check-in, then that's a great way to do it, is to have that required item and then list your additional events and opportunities under that as optional add-ons. The fully a la carte option is a great use case for events that don't have that required base price. And so families can purchase any combination of tickets that they would like over in the Family Weekend event section. And so this is great for when you have just a lot happening on campus all at once and they don't need to pay that base fee. And I can proceed directly after choosing my ticket option. So even if some of them are blank, I can continue to the payment screen. I won't be redirected to add a certain item to my cart if I haven't already.
They just said it do got some kind of requirement.
All right. So I'm going to jump into a training real quick. I think this is going to be the most interesting part for y'all. So I just wanted to go over those structures really quickly. As I'm talking through this, feel free to throw questions in the chat. I'm just going to ask Rebecca if you can keep an eye on things and let me know if anything comes up that you want me to chat about. So here I am in my demo portal, and I'm going to go into my admin area under content, and I'm going to go to my event section here. So you see the one I've already created. I will mention if you have an event from last year that you used, I'm just going to call out that you can clone that. So let's say this is my event from last year. There's this super handy little clone button. So if your structure is going to stay very much the same, you can very easily just clone that and change the dates, and that will update your event for you much more quickly than what I'll walk through today. So just know if it's your first time, you can clone in the future. And if you've already hosted a Family Weekend in Campus ESP, you can clone that old event and make some changes if needed. But from this event screen, I'm going to start from scratch here and go new event with registration. And I'll name my title Family Weekend 2023. You can have your location if there's a specific check-in location or something like that. I can have my start and end dates here. Go October 6th through 8th. You can add in a short description as well. The short description is just going to show up on the calendar over on the right-hand side of that portal. So I like to keep this pretty short and just say something like, we look forward to having our families on campus. Something short and sweet there. And then you'll post it to your communities as well. So I'll go with something pretty simple like my campus news community. Generally, I see Family Weekends posted to those default communities, but if you use Campus ESP for current and prospective families, I recommend using your all users, current parents, or whatever variation of that community you have for just your current population. And then you can choose your registration dates. So this is really handy because you can say, I'm going to create my event, but I don't want registration to open until September 1st. So you can set it up early and not have that registration open quite yet until you fully are ready to go with your e-commerce things and all of that. And then you can also close registration early if you have to. So maybe I want to close registration a few days before that event starts. That will automatically close it on the date that you select. So this registration from and until is super handy there. Moving on to my registration instructions. I'm going to add in a photo real quick. And you can add in your description or instructions here. This is wonderful for if you have like a base fee and you want to explain that families must purchase a general admission item along with any optional items. And then maybe you want to say something like t-shirts will be available for purchase day of, or something like that. You can have any information that you'd like will all show up on that form as folks are kind of processing their registrations here. This feature is super handy. I know Rebecca will talk about this later as well, but you can have a family weekend registrants community. Then this will essentially say whenever someone clicks that submit button and they register for your event, they will automatically be added to your family weekend registrants community. So that is super handy for that follow-up communication. If day of it's raining and you have to move check-in inside, that's wonderful to be able to send a quick email or announcement to those folks to say, hey, we had to move our check-in. So that community is going to be super handy, definitely a recommended feature to use. Next two buttons here are to set up your confirmation message and your confirmation email. The confirmation message can be pretty short here. Thank you for registering. Something sweet like that. But your confirmation email is super helpful. That will go out right after they purchase. So if you have hotel information, parking information, flight information that you would like to send to your registrants, sending this confirmation email is the best way to do it. So they'll get a little event invite in their email, and they'll have any other information that you include in this confirmation email section. So this is a great place to really expand any info they need after they register. Also a good place to put your refunds policy if you will not be refunding or anything like that. Good to note that in the confirmation email message as well. I'll call this out for you. This is a little bit more specific, so feel free to reach out to your customer success manager if you want to explore what this means more. But this little button here after confirmation, show CTA button with personal link, is really great if maybe they have to purchase football tickets through your athletic site. And so you want them to register for your event and then direct them back to your athletic site to purchase those football tickets. Then you can have this show up after they've already registered as an extra call to action button. So a little bit in the weeds there, but a good option to know if you host your event separate from the athletics registration. That's a good button to keep in mind. All right, and my next session here is my form creation screen. So this looks just like the form builder in other places in Campus ESP if you've used this at all. But I'm going to add a question to my section. I'll just go very simple here and say first name. You can choose your question type. So if you're asking, are you an alumni or not, or something like that, you can choose a different question type. You can choose to require any question that you'd like. And then super handy here, definitely recommended, is to save answer to the first name, in this case, end with your form. So essentially what this allows you to do is if someone already has filled in their first name, choosing this option will essentially autofill the form for them so they can just make any adjustments that they have. So it saves their information onto the form if they've already given you a lot of information during their sign up process. One more time here. Let's do last name. I'll require that one as well and save that with last name. And then one more feature that I want to show you here is I'm going to say, are you an alumni of MU? I'll make this a drop down and I'll make my answer choices yes or no. Another little pro tip is if you have a drop down, I would include a little blank option or a select an option line here, because that would potentially, if you just start with yes, give you a lot of fake yes answers, since that will be the default option that is chosen. So pro tip is to add select an option as your first line there. And then I can get even more specific, and maybe I want to say, what year did you graduate from MU? Then I can say only show this question based on a previous answer. So only show this if they've selected yes for are you an alumni of MU. So you can make your form very dynamic if you'd like and have different questions that appear based on what they've already selected in previous questions. So definitely a good feature there. We know form fatigue can be real. So if you want to really get specific and have the form be very specific, that's a way that you can do it. You can build that out as much as you'd like. But for now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to go on to tickets and add-ons and talk through that structure in real life for a bit. So here I have my two options. This is required tickets. So this is my option where I need them to select this first ticket in order to purchase any add-on items there. So let's set up a quick required ticket. I'm going to leave it as general admission, and I'll just add in my price, but you can rename it if you'd like to. Say $30. Super handy in here too is to set up your inventory. So maybe you have a maximum of 5,000 folks that you can host at Family Weekend. You can set that inventory right there, and we will automatically control that for you. You can set your minimum and maximum order quality or quantity as well. So if they can only purchase a maximum of 5 tickets for a specific item, you can have that in there too. And there's my required ticket. So super easy. And now let's add on a quick optional tickets and add-on section here. So maybe I'll do t-shirts. I'll say small short sleeve. I'm mostly skipping over the images just because I don't have anything handy. But if you do have shirt designs that you'd like to load in, this is the best place to do that so they can see what their shirt is going to look like here. Again, if I only have 143 of a certain size that I've ordered, then you can add that in there. And you can add multiple different things in this section as well if you have lots that you are selling. If you have additional things as well, I'll call out, you can add different sections by doing this add another add-on item. So if I have maybe t-shirts and then additional events, again, you can make this as specific and split out as you would like to. I'll spare going over all the details of creating that, but I'll say if you have any questions about how you really want to structure your form, just reach out to us at support@campus.esp or to your specific AM or CSM, and we can help you figure out exactly what buttons you want to click to structure that. But you can make this as complicated as you'd like to. I will click Done Publish here, and that will be created for me. And as Rebecca will talk about, just test is the best thing to do. So I can open this up right here in my portal. I can see my options. I can make sure that my conditional questions are working correctly here. I can test that everything is the right price and all of that good stuff. So great opportunity in here to just make sure everything is working correctly. And if anything is wonky, just let us know. We can help in that technical support there. So that was a quick little speed round of creating an event. Any questions that I can answer about this before Rebecca jumps in with some tips and advice from her usage? Great. All right, well then I will stop sharing here. Rebecca can take over.
Okay, can you all see my screen? Awesome. Okay, cool. So yes, I do have some advice and recommendations for you all. And I do want to give a shout out to Dalen because we worked together at George Mason doing Family Weekend together. And there were certainly some things with our first year using Campus ESP for our event registration that we did not do and definitely implemented for year 2. So these are some of our lessons learned. And I definitely picked Dalen's brain too to make sure I didn't miss anything because I know he'll also be building his Family Weekend registration form in the portal again this year. So I put all of them on the screen, but I'll walk through them one by one for you. So the first thing is to really keep your registration form simple and specific. Our first year, we asked all the questions. We wanted to know all the things. It ended up being like 40 questions long. And it was more so information that we wanted and not necessarily that what we needed. So for our second year, we definitely cut down on some things in the initial registration form. So that would be my advice is just think about it when you're going through it. Think about like your family member and how long it's taking you to complete it. Because you're familiar with the questions and the responses and they won't be. So if it takes you, 10 minutes to complete it, it's probably going to take them a little bit longer. So just something to keep in mind there. Number 2, test test, and test again for sure. Complete the form through the lens of the family member, like I just mentioned, but also make sure you just go through it as the admin of like, what do I need to know? Is this populating the correct answers? Get your colleagues to fill it out too if you have friends, family members. It's easy for us when we see content over and over to overlook things. We might miss spelling errors, or, we may have just different things populating that we didn't mean for them to. So as many eyes as you can get on the portal before you launch to families, it will help you so much. All right, number 3. How will you refund payments? So even if you have a no refund policy, you're going to have things that pop up. Family members are going to come to you and say, we're not going to be able to attend after all. We have a conflict. Someone's gotten sick. There's all the things that happen. And we totally get that. And we are, compassionate about those things. So families will ask, so go ahead and determine the steps that you want to take to ensure that all of your registration numbers are accurate. So if you do refund a payment, make sure you're subtracting that from your total number of registrants. And then same thing on the refund side, right? You want to make sure that all of your financials are lining up too. And then number 4, so Jack mentioned this, but place all of your registrants into a family weekend community. We did not do that the first year that we used it. And then we had something pop up. I think it was weather related, and we ended up moving locations, and we did not have a quick way to communicate to all of our family members. And I think that was probably our biggest regret that year. So our next year that we did use it, we put them all in a community, and it was so much easier to communicate any updates that happen. So location changes, if something's canceled, whatever it is. And then this also makes it super easy to create and schedule any announcements that you want to send too. So you can schedule a lot of these things in advance. So if you want to send a reminder of like, don't forget, the registration deadline's coming up. Anything you want to send there, or after they've registered, like here's all the information that you need to know. If you want to do any event spotlights to highlight and say like, we're running low on these tickets, make sure you go ahead and register. Like it just makes it so much easier. So those are my tips. And Jack, interrupt me if any questions come through the chat.
Will do. I just want to highlight too, the place registrants in a family weekend community. One of the stories we heard was that I think UNC Charlotte, there was a hurricane coming through Charlotte, and so they had to move a lot of their events to a later date, right? So I know we have Mississippi State and Kentucky and UTK on the call, could potentially apply as we kind of get into hurricane season. So great use case to have that pre-established just in case you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for jumping in there. And I will show you, I do have the communities page pulled up. So if you're in your portal, sorry, there's a lot of communities in here. But you can just go to add new community right up here, or if you scroll to the bottom, you can create it right here. And here's mine, Family Weekend 2023 registrants. And so you can do that every year. So, next year as you're planning, you'll still have your Family Weekend 2023 registrants and see who registered. And so you can send another blast to them and say like, hey, 2024 is coming up. Like, we know you had a great time last year, like come again. So it's helpful even beyond this year. All right, so I'm going to jump back to our slide deck here. And then there's also a lot of ways to publicize Family Weekend in your portal, through your newsletters, lots of options. So we want to make sure that you know what they all are. So you're able to feature post. And I'm probably going to hop around a little bit and back into the portal just so you can kind of see how things look. But these are just going to be your regular posts here. Let's see. Yeah, right here. So I created this one based on them already being registered for Family Weekend. So it'll be the top thing that they see in their portal. And then also it'll be at the top of their newsletter. So you're able to feature this post, and you can put a length of time for how long you want that to be active. You can also send announcements, and you can tag that community. So I sent myself one this morning. So it'll go directly to their inbox. I've got, the same logo here. So you're registered, and then this is all their information. So parking, check-in information, the ticket, schedule of events. So you got it all in here. I also put like a link, a call to action button back to the website where they can learn more, and then also the reference post. So the one that you just saw in the portal, I've also got it linked here. So lots of ways to connect all of your communication tactics too.
I just want to plug one thing here. You can see there in Rebecca's first line of that email, it says, "Greetings, Rebecca." I know probably most of you have seen the mail merge features in the body of the email, but I will just mention in case you haven't seen it, we recently have enhanced a little bit and released mail merge capabilities for that subject line. So if you wanted to say, reminder from MU, Jack is registered for Family Weekend or something like that, great opportunity to make the email a little bit more specific if you'd like to really make that personal.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for calling that out, Jack. And then we've got ad campaigns in here too. So I'll go back to the portal. So you can see this is the portal campaign here, but you can also put those at the top of your newsletter. So I've also wanted to point out one other thing. It's on my next page, but SMS campaigns, social media posts. So you can, once you create these like graphics, you can use them in multiple places. And then this is what Jack was just talking about with the advanced targeting. And I'm going to go to the next slide just so you can see some screenshots here. So these are the ad campaigns I was mentioning. So you just saw this one in the portal, but you can even do one before, like once registration opens, and then change it once they're registered. And so this just shows you the visibility here. And if you want some advice, some help doing this, we can show you how to do that too. But let me show you this advanced targeting. So I did create just a sample announcement. Let me jump over here. Sorry, jumping around a little bit. So I did start one here. So if you go to text, once you're in the design builder of your announcement, and then you're going to push this X right here that says mail merge. So if you want it to be specific, so I've already got mine in here, so mine will pop up Rebecca. But if the family member's name is not yet in the portal, then you can put a default value here. So if you wanted to put MU families, and then I'll save this. So when you go to, not sure if you'll be able to see this, it's kind of small, but this is what it'll look like when you're previewing the announcement. Actually, let me see if I can do it. Create block, next review alert. Yeah, so you can kind of see how it'll populate here. I think this probably looks better. So you can see it says greetings, first name, default families to you, but then when the family member receives it, it'll say greetings, their name. So it really does add that personal touch. And then just reviewing this again, so featured post here, the ad campaigns, and then that advanced targeting. So many options. They were all very helpful for us. It's just so nice to already have built out communication for your families. Everything is aligns with your brand. So once they see it, they're like, okay, I know that that's Family Weekend. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm gonna keep going to the next slide and keep sharing my screen for Jack, and he's gonna talk about e-commerce.
Cool. And one more thing that I'll just mention relating to communicating about Family Weekend is that every event form has its own direct link. So one thing that we know about Family Weekend specifically, but event registration in general, is that it's a great way to get more families to get into the portal in the first place. So if a family hasn't been included in your communication as of yet, but they want to attend Family Weekend, then kind of posting that event form link on social media or including in your other communications that might be happening wherever your families are outside of Campus ESP. That's a great opportunity to really get more folks using the portal and make sure that they know that they can register in there and then continue to receive communications from us. But moving on to the e-commerce piece. So there was a question in the chat. You see, this is the list of current kind of vendors that we work with and payment gateways that we work with for e-commerce. So TouchNet, Authorize.net, Transact, also known as CashNet, PayPal, Stripe, and PayEasy. So these are our current ones. If your provider isn't currently on the list, we might not be able to integrate this year, but definitely let us know if there's a payment provider that you work with that we don't currently integrate with, and it's something that we can consider for future integrations for us to build. But if your provider is on the list and you don't currently have e-commerce set up, just let your CSM know as soon as possible so that we can start the process of actually integrating with your e-commerce folks on campus and making sure that everything is set up as quickly as it can be so that you can make your form and have everything ready to go before you need it to be live. So great opportunity right now to just send an email to your CSM and just let them know that you're interested in kind of learning more about the e-commerce setup. I know some folks on the call already have things moving. So if you're in the queue right now, you'll be good to go. But yeah, just let us know if you haven't kicked off the process at all. All right. We're good to go. And the last thing I just want to say here is if you have questions, just let us know. You can reach out to support@campusesp.com. Again, we'll send this over the slide deck and the recording as a follow-up. I'll also just send some screenshots of my family weekend form that I had built out that we took some screenshots of so you can see exactly how I've structured things and use that as kind of a template for you. So you'll get to see that as well. And then the last plug there, if you want us to take a look before you launch your family weekend form, we are always happy to do that for you and see if we have any tips or things that we've noticed in the past as a best practice. So we tried to share most of our good stuff here today, but if you want someone to take a final look before you have any families registering, we are always happy to do that and can lead to just more confidence on your side to make sure everything is good to go in a new system that you might be using. So definitely just let us know, send a message to us and we can look in your portal and make sure everything looks good. All right, and now it is question time. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, if you're gonna pop off, it was great having y'all here. Thank you so much for taking some time and attending. And yeah, just let us know what questions come up as you're actually setting up your form. We're always here to help. Right. Stop recording.